I will make you focus on the snob. After that. Thank you, thank you.
Looks like Turki Alalshikh and Oscar de la Hoya will no longer be working together ever again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
To everyone thought that the Saudi Arabian sheikh and the boss of Golden Boy Promotions were very close. But now the whole thing has come to light. Turki has chosen to end his contract with Oscar and is now looking for a new job with Hearn.
28 and beyond. So, like I said, if I can give my time, if anybody, if we can find a way, a path together to try and maintain its position, I think it's really, really important.
Many people are shocked because just a few months ago, Turki was seen all over the place with Oscar, going to fights and talking about everything. Now Turki is dating Hearn.
And the way that Turkey is operating and the way that he is doing business is incredible for boxing.
If you've been paying attention, you know that this isn't a small change. It's a big one. Eddie and Turki are already planning huge fights together, and it looks like they could completely change the way fighting is done. Turki, who has money and ties, and Hearn, who runs Matchroom Sport for as chairman, they now want to rule the world of fighting together, which is beyond most people's wildest dreams. People know the Saudi sheikh for his big money moves, and he's determined to make a worldwide boxing league. Working with Hearn could be the first step toward making that dream come true. Some close to the situation are calling this the biggest shakeup in boxing in years. Oscar de la Hoya must be feeling the sting, as Turki had been seen as his key to taking Golden Boy Promotions to the next level. But now it seems Turki wasn't as loyal as people thought. Turki has always been a visionary, a source said, and it seems like he decided Hearn is the one who can truly take things to the next level. The partnership with Hearn will supposedly involve Saudi money being pumped into boxing at a scale no one has ever seen before. And the plans are already in motion for blockbuster fights that could pull in millions of viewers globally. The timing of this twist couldn't be more interesting, with Hearn announcing his Netflix documentary series Matchroom. Turki ends his Oscar contract concurrently with the release of The Greatest Showman.
It's going to happen that Hearn's going to be in this studio to join us next week, Simon. Look forward to that. Netflix have announced that they're making a new documentary series following Hearn, Barry Hearn, and their team at Matchroom HQ.
The series, which will give fans a deep look into the daily workings of Eddie and his team, will also be a stage for Turki and Henry's newly formed alliance to shine. According to Eddie, this new show will be quite huge, as he says it. This is a game changer. For the first time, we have given access to all areas to a film crew to give fans an unprecedented glimpse at what goes on behind the scenes to power the Matchroom. Hearn said it's like the Netflix series will be the right vehicle to launch this new partnership into the public eye, and the timing of it all just feels too perfect to be a coincidence. Turki's big move away from Oscar didn't come out of the blue either. There were already signs of strain between the two, with Oscar having problems securing major fights for his fighters lately. Meanwhile, Turki has been getting closer and closer to Hearn. They were spotted together at multiple events, and the talks have been all over social media, getting louder than something was brewing behind the scenes. Now it's official, Oscar's out, Eddie's in, and the boxing world is about to watch a whole new era. Well, as it comes as no surprise, Oscar de la Hoya is not taking things lightly. Oscar really thought Turki was in it for the long haul, some fans said, but now it looks like Turki was just waiting for the right moment to jump ship, and Hearn gave him the perfect CT chance. De la Hoya's complaints could be understood. Turki had been pouring serious money into the sport and had given Golden Boy Promotions the financial boost they badly needed, especially in the aftermath of Canelo-Alvarez's departure from the promotion. We saw these two trying to plan big fights, but the likes of Zapata versus Stevenson lined out. Now all that money is going to be flowing into Hearn's businesses instead, and Oscar is left in the cold.
The most important topic of every week. Canelo, fuck you.
But just lately, things have been getting even more interesting in the world of Hearn and Turki. Apparently, Turki is reportedly planning to use his big money to essentially buy out major parts of the boxing world. It has even been reported that Turki could buy Matchroom Sport outright, solidifying his power in the sport even further. A source close to Turki said Turki is not just looking to play in the boxing world. He wants to own it. This would put him in a position to control not just the fighters, but the entire structure of boxing as we know it. Well, that sounds like it could hurt Eddie. This could be a dream come true for him. He's always been ambitious, but now with Turki's money backing him, the sky's the limit. The partnership between Eddie and Turki could create a juggernaut in boxing that no one else can compete with. Eddie alone is already making moves with Netflix, and if Turki comes in well, you can already tell where this is going. These two are already talking fights that would take place in Saudi Arabia, the UK, and the USA, with the biggest names in the sport being thrown into the mix. Turki is said to be personally involved in planning the events, working hand in hand with Eddie to make sure everything is bigger and better than anything boxing fans have ever seen before. One source even hinted that Turki and Eddie are trying to bring the heavyweight division back into the spotlight, with possible matchups that could involve Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Alexander Usyk. Turki wants to make the biggest fights possible, and Eddie is the guy who can make it happen. The source said this combination is going to change the game.
September 14th, Canelo against Berlanga. September 21st, Joshua against Dubois, Riyadh season, Wembley, which is going to be incredible. Josh Warrington, also of course for Kakashi and others as well.
Meanwhile, Oscar de la Hoya is trying to figure out his next move. With Turki gone, he's lost one of his biggest allies and one of the main sources of funds for his promotion. It's no secret that Golden Boy Promotions have been struggling lately, and now without Turki's money, those problems are only going to get worse. Oscar has yet to comment openly on the situation, but insiders say he's furious and is already looking for new investors to try and keep Golden Boy afloat. As for Eddie Hearn, he couldn't be happier. Not only does he have his new Netflix show coming soon, but now he's got Turki in his corner, and they're already planning their next big moves. Eddie Hearn is no stranger to controversy, but this new partnership with Turki might just be the most controversial yet. Well, this is not the end of it, because things take another interesting turn we've all been watching. And we've seen the massive disconnect between Turki Alalshikh and Canelo Alvarez, as Turki attempted to arrange a huge fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford. The energy between them seemed off, and it quickly turned into a situation that left Oscar de la Hoya feeling more on the outside, with some even saying he was starting to attack Canelo because of it.
Can you not give us Canelo Benavidez? Why? Canelo, why? I do not understand it. You're demanding $200 million? So basically Canelo doesn't want to give us the good fights. When you have Turki, who is making the best fights, who literally wants to make the best fights, and he's forking over the bill?
This disconnect between Alalshikh and Canelo seemed to be caused by different standards and approaches. Alalshikh, who is relatively new to boxing but has been making waves with his powerful financial backing, came in with grand ideas. He wanted to bring Canelo into the ring against top fighters like Terence Crawford and David Benavidez, and we can all agree that these are the fights that all of us want to see. And Turki's influence and resources could make them happen, but something in the discussions went wrong. And instead of moving forward smoothly, the negotiations took an hit. Oscar de la Hoya, once Canelo's promoter and a major figure in his career, was also involved in the mix. However, it seemed like Turki's shift in attention toward Eddie Hearn left Oscar out in the cold. De la Hoya allegedly started to express frustration and anger towards Canelo, perhaps feeling the pressure of being excluded from such massive plans. We saw Oscar making videos about how stupid Canelo was.
So it turns out I'm not the only one who thinks Canelo is an arrogant piece of shit. Turki Alalshikh recently revealed that Canelo refused to meet with him in person and isn't entertaining any deals to be done with him. Why? Because he's outpriced himself so much that the Saudis don't even want to deal with him.
The fact that Turki started having talks with Eddie Hearn was a game changer. Eddie Hearn, being one of the most prominent promoters in boxing, saw the chance and jumped in. Hearn acknowledged that the situation was tough. He freely stated how fond he was of both Canelo and Alalshikh, but he admitted that things had gotten a bit tricky. Yeah, it's tough because obviously I'm very fond of both. Hearn said, I think firstly His Excellency has one thing on his mind: make the biggest fights that can be made in boxing. And I think he probably shares a lot of the anger of boxing fans over the last few years despite the tension. Hearn remained optimistic about the possibility for big fights and expressed admiration for Turki's desire to make only the biggest and best matches in boxing. He explained that what he's adding to the sport is extremely refreshing because he has no interest in pure fights. He has no interest in takeover fights or warm-up fights. He just wants to make the biggest fights that can be made. So in His Excellency's mind, the fights that he wants to see are Canelo Alvarez against Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez against David Benavidez Alalshikh. Unlike many other organizers or backers who do not want to waste time with less significant fights, His vision is all about providing what the fans craved, the absolute top matchups. He wanted to see Canelo in the ring with someone like Terence Crawford or David Benavidez, athletes who would actually push Canelo to his limits. That kind of ambition is rare in boxing, where many promoters are satisfied with smaller, less risky bouts. Turki's attitude was refreshing, and Eddie Hearn noted, "It is a much-needed change in the sport. For boxing fans, the idea of Canelo meeting David Benavidez is thrilling. Benavidez is young and beaten and a force to be reckoned with. At 168 pounds, his size and power make him a real threat to anyone in the division, and he's been calling out Canelo for a while now. Benavidez's potential to move up to light heavyweight in the future adds even more interest to the matchup, yet Canelo has been hesitant to fight Benavidez, often pointing to the significant size and weight difference on fight night. Benavidez rehydrates too much bigger than 10,068 pounds, which adds to the risks for Canelo.
Canelo running from Benavidez. What is that? I mean, imagine if I ever ran from anybody. Like, did I run from somebody in my career? No. Did Chavez run from somebody in his career? No.
When Alalshikh approached Eddie Hearn about setting up the Canelo vs. Crawford fight, the timing seemed off. He reached out to me, His Excellency, the night of the first press conference in New York, and he said to me, "I want to make Canelo Crawford go and speak to Saul. Let's make this fight Hearn share." And I said, "Okay," and I reached out to Saul and said, "Look, His Excellency wants to make this fight. I think you should go see him in Los Angeles. He's there." And Saul just said, "Look, I'm focused on this fight with Edgar Berlanga. I won't talk about another fight until after this fight." This response frustrated Alalshikh, who wanted to move quickly and get things done. He didn't understand why Canelo wasn't jumping at the chance to discuss such a massive fight. From Alalshikh's point of view, he was offering Canelo an opportunity to make one of the biggest fights of his career, but Canelo wasn't immediately receptive, and I think His Excellency probably can't understand that. Hearn added, "I think it's a frustration of let's make the fight come on." Canelo's hesitance to engage in these talks may have been influenced by his past experiences. He's been through the grind of being the underdog, most notably when he faced Floyd Mayweather Jr. back in 2013. Canelo was young and had to drain himself to make the 154-pound weight limit, giving Mayweather the upper hand. That fight taught Canelo many things, and one of them seems to be that he won't let himself be pushed around in negotiations anymore. He's now one of the biggest stars in boxing, and he expects to be treated as such. From Canelo's viewpoint, perhaps the initial dealings with Alalshikh didn't meet his expectations of respect or control. Canelo is used to being the aside in negotiations, and any hint that he's not being given the difference he thinks he's earned could cause friction. Alalshikh, being new to the sport, may not have fully grasped the intricacies of working with a fighter of Canelo's stature. This disconnect between their methods and business could have been the root of the problem. Even with all the tension, it's hard to believe that Canelo and Alalshikh won't have finally worked together. The potential money on the table is too important to ignore. Boxing is a business at the end of the day, and fighters and promoters alike rarely pass up chances for huge paydays. The chance of Canelo facing Crawford or Benavidez would generate huge interest, and the financial rewards would be substantial. So despite the current disconnect, it wouldn't be surprising to see the two parties find a way to make things work.
Really like to bash somebody because at the end of the day, I give respect to Canelo. He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's one of the best Mexican fighters of all
But
time.
wanting to fight him, David, is not bashing him.
Yeah.
That's not bashing him.
But that's what I'm saying. They spin the narrative on Instagram.
Right.
If I say something, they say this or that.
Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn seems to be the one coming in to try to smooth things over. Hearn has a way of navigating tricky situations and bringing people together, and in this case he's likely trying to keep both Canelo and Alalshikh happy while working out how to get the big fights made. Oscar de la Hoya, on the other hand, looks to be left on the outside watching as the negotiations move forward without him. Turkey's choice to start talking with Eddie Hearn could mark a shift in the landscape of boxing movements. Alalshikh's influence and finances, combined with Henry's promotional skills, could lead to a new era of major fights. Zapata has garnered widespread notice and is promoted by Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions. This possible matchup would present a major challenge for Hearn, as he would need to navigate through talks with Oscar de la Hoya to make the fight a reality. Recently, de la Hoya has been vocal in his criticisms of Shocker, questioning his self-confidence and entertainment value, which he thinks hinders Shocker's marketability. De la Hoya belly thinks Zapata is the more popular fighter even without a title, and that Shocker needs Zapata more than the other way around.
You'd probably want an easier fight than Shakur Stevenson, but Joe is at the age where he wants to be involved in the biggest fights in the sport, and if he feels like the opportunity is right, I'm sure he would take it, but nothing Nothing close yet.
An offer there, offer on the table?
Zapata's popularity and his rank as the #1 lightweight contender with all sanctioning bodies make him a hot commodity in boxing, with more lucrative opportunities possibly awaiting him, such as a fight against the WBA regular champion Hampion Tank. Zapata's strong fan base and his position within the lightweight division place him in an advantageous spot for bigger paydays, which could cause further complications for Hearn as he tries to deliver a top-tier fight for Shocker. Shocker's decision to leave Top Rank was driven by his frustration with not being able to secure the high-profile fights he wanted, and Hearn will need to prove he can do what Top Rank couldn't bring in big-namey opponents. Boxing expert Chris Algerie weighed in on the situation, highlighting the allure of Eddie Hearn's matchroom for fighters like Shocker, especially following Yaron Ennis' move to the He promotion. Shocker looks at Yaron Ennis roll up with Eddie Hearn and says, "I want that kind of respect. I wasn't getting that with Top Rank." Algerie told the ProBox TV YouTube channel Shocker's belief that Hearn could open the doors for big fights at his court to why he signed with Matchroom, but history might repeat itself if those fights don't materialize. In Algeria's view, the problem lies in Hearn's ability to deliver. He questioned whether Hearn could win the fights that matter. Some Top Rank struggled to do. Can Eddie get him the big fights, or was Eddie just the guy who talked at the bargaining table to make everyone think they could get the big fights? Algerie asked if the relationship between Turki and Hearn could be a game-changer for Shocker if they manage to work through these obstacles and bring in marquee matchups. Turki has the ability to push for the biggest fights, and with Henry's promotional skills, there is potential for high-profile matches. How do you think things will turn out? Share your ideas below and don't forget to like and subscribe as we wait for more. See you in the next one.